Good evening, members. Good evening. Dan Toscano, attorney at law. For the record, I have a law office located at 62B Commercial Wharf East in Boston. And I'm here representing Nicholas Leo, no relation to this young lady over here, Nicole Leo. But Nick is one of the owner, and he's going to be the operator and manager of record of Sushi Rock, located at 7678 Salem Street, which is the former location of Puntanella Mozzarella Bar. And we have a hearing date of October 15th before the Boston Licensing Board. And that petition that we have filed is for a transfer of the CB 7-day beer and wine license with cordials. And also, in part of that application process, we had to amend the premises. I believe Chris Young owns the property and came before this neighborhood to go up. It was a one-story building, added 1 story, so we need to change the description of the license to include the second stories onto the license. The third part of this particular application is the closing hours. The existing license had 11 o'clock p.m. closing hours. We have moved to change those closing hours from Sunday to Wednesday, 11:30 p.m., and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to midnight. The restaurant is going to be two stories. On the first floor, to give you a little idea of what the restaurant is going to look like, the first floor is going to relatively the same as what Puntanella Mozzarella had, was 28 seats. There's going to be 18 seats with tables and chairs. There's going to be a dining bar with approximately 10 seats at the dining bar. Dining bar is going to have a chef right behind the dining bar. And the second floor is going to be approximately 54 seats, 44 at tables and chairs. There's going to be an additional dining bar on the second floor with approximately 10 seats. The restaurant, as you know, is still under construction. People have concerns about the windows. The windows do open up, and however, but when we apply background music and some TVs, there is going to be, the Consumer Affairs Department does put a restriction on the license, your entertainment license, to shut the windows at 11 o'clock. In regards to trash, has not done so yet, but Nick is going to be working with a trash company, daily trash pickup. Trash is going to be located inside the establishment until it's put out later, until they leave. Hasn't contracted yet, but he's obligated to do so, and will do so at some point. But I think he's a little ways away from opening up. I'll tell you a little bit about Nick. He's a resident of the North End waterfront neighborhood. He has his entire life working in the restaurant business. Right now, he's the owner and operator of the Brickyard restaurant located in Woburn, Mass, Woburn Center. It has a full alcohol license. Runs a great neighborhood business. No problems running the business. I understand Woburn is certainly not the North End and deals with the issues that we have in the North End, but we're very confident that Nick is going to run a good establishment, and I believe the theme of Sushi Rock, Asian, Pan-Asian flair to this, added to this neighborhood. I think we see it's a little different. It's not your traditional Italian restaurant that we see coming to the neighborhood, but I think it's something that many of our residents, we've got a lot of good positive feedback. Many of our residents would love to see them there. This will be an establishment that he hopes to be a good neighborhood establishment. So I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, abutters first. Like to speak? Name and address.
My name is Carolyn Conway. I live at 77 Salem Street, which is directly across the street. I've been a resident of 77 Salem Street since 1991. Prior to that, I was a resident of 102 Salem Street since 1980. We don't, I can't speak for all the advisors, but I myself don't have a problem with the transfer of the liquor license, which really is a question of the closing hour. We're asking that we know what the neighborhood is doing, that the good neighbor agreement is what the neighborhood has established as what they think the public need for is on for the North End, and I believe that you should have real reason to depart from that good neighbor agreement, and this does not present the reason to depart from the good neighbor agreement. For the most part, going from from Goody Brothers down to Vito's, which we don't, but for all of the restaurants that go from, say, 50, 56 Salem Street all the way up to Baco, all close at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. This restaurant is approximately maybe 30 to 40 feet away from all of our bedroom windows. And what we're asking for tonight is just that this association just vote to maintain the neighborhood agreement while the applicant just establishes a track record to show us this. We're very much a residential block right there, and to open this up is almost like opening up a store if we get a later closing hour. So we're really asking that we stay with the neighborhood, the good neighborhood agreement until we see how this restaurant is doing. So far, things have not been that successful there. We now are adding we're adding a lot of seats to the neighborhood, more noise, the trash. When you say that the trash is going out when everybody is leaving at 12:30 at night, that's what we're listening to. We're listening to the trash going out, and so that's not a great thing to have. At 5 o'clock. Yes, it's being picked up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But we don't want to be unreasonable. We want a new business in the neighborhood to do well. But on the other hand, we just think that until you've established yourself as a good neighbor in the neighborhood, that we should stay with the 11 o'clock closing and 12 o'clock on Friday and Saturday, rather than expand to somebody who has not come into the neighborhood, has no experience in the neighborhood. I don't know that I see any experience in the type of establishment that you want to run. We're just asking for the neighborhood to keep with the status quo right now, that's there so that we can see whether or not that this really is a good fit in the neighborhood and not increasing noise. I mean, obviously we're adding to the capacity of the neighborhood, and so, okay, that's fine. We'll do that, but please keep our closing hour right with the good neighborhood agreement. And I think that's why we have that good neighborhood agreement, is so that people can establish a track record and then go forward from there. Okay. And as I said, please, just notice all of the restaurants that are around us are not past 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. I mean, as I said, from Neptune Oyster all the way up to Antico Porno, we do not have that kind of establishment. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Okay, any other butters?
If I may, I think I misspoke. Mr. Leo informed me. I might have said 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
I apologize. It is in Calendar. That's why Calendar speaking to it. We are proposing 12:30 on the Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it's not 12 o'clock. So I misspoke, and I apologize. I can rebut at any time, but I'll continue opening that.
Any other butters?
Yes. 77 Salem, Tatiana Yankelevich, the owner since 1991 and the resident since 1993. I want to bring to your attention of this association that at the neighborhood council meeting this Monday, there were very vocal opposition from the abutters to the hours that Sushi Rock is requesting. And there were only two voices in support that spoke right after the abutters and misled everyone to believe that they were abutters. They were not abutters, and I think it is really kind of blatant, disregard for the position that the direct abutters take. And as a result, possibly of that, the council took a decision of 6 to 4 in favor of the closing hours for Sushi Rock. I think it's completely unfair, and it is an outrage that the residents who are the taxpayers who bear the brunt of bearing everything that goes on Salem Street with the noise and the other unpleasantness, that their opinion is so blatantly disregarded. Another thing I would like to bring to your attention is that Sushi Rock is a different type of establishment, even from Neptune, that does have a share of sushi dishes, but it's absolutely not a exclusively sushi restaurant. And all other restaurants are of a different type of catering than sushi. And I don't see where is why should we give, why the city should give an unfair advantage for this type of menu, for this type of restaurant, for the establishment to have an extra half an hour in the area where it really has no competition, because there will be a sushi restaurant and there are no sushi restaurants on Salem Street or basically in the North End, unless we go further to waterfront. There is no point in giving them an unfair advantage over their colleagues and visitors. So this is what I'd like to stress and to ask you to pay serious attention. Thank you.
Bill Mascoli, I live on 100th Street, in the back of my building on Carter Street. Are there really two bars in this building? There's one bar downstairs
Two dining bars,
and another
yes.
bar upstairs. You need two bars in this building? But you're saying that this is not going to be a problem by extending the hours. Is that clear? I just want to be clear.
Yes.
Okay.
Be clear.
So we're going to have one bar downstairs with serving and drinks, a second bar upstairs with serving and drinks. But this is not going to be a problem to defy the law and give you another hour or an hour and a half.
Half hour.
The sushi is the kind of thing, I've seen it, it's basically a bar that happens to have some fish. It really is there's a whole array of drinks that are made at these places. I think where it belongs is on the waterfront. The seaport, if there isn't a place like that now, there will be. It'll be packed. The bar will be packed. The second floor bar will be packed, and the rest of it will be people who have been drinking and eating some sushi. Okay? I think it's ridiculous to be thinking there should be any reason to extend the hours to something which is inherently, it belongs in a commercial area or an area where there isn't anyone being entertained. And if it goes, I would like some keep it right. Okay, I know it's hard to believe, but
it's not just sushi.
to me, it's not the
It's
neighborhood,
items on the
it's not,
menu other
it's
than
the issue
sushi.
of the noise, it's the issue of why do you need two bars on the new second floor in a building, and then you come in here and saying that you really don't want to be open, that you really are not going to cause a problem. It's ludicrous.
Well, I think what we see in the neighborhood, and I said it a number of times, and you look at the restaurants that have changed over time, and we've gone from many years of, we talked 20 years ago, even more, you have the old style restaurants, family style restaurants, the red and white checkered tablecloths, the newer, these fancier restaurants. You look at Artude, you look at Florentine, you look at Luca, you look at Tresca, you look at Brico, they have dining bars. And a lot of the restaurants are on the main because a lot of people enjoy sitting at the bar area rather than sitting at a table. And a lot of these restaurants have a TV, and there's no hiding, there will be a TV probably behind these bar areas. A lot of people enjoy sitting at the bar area and having dinner there and enjoying a drink. And they're not bars that we're going to encourage. I think what we're trying to cater to, and what Nick has done in his research is look at the composition of the neighborhood. We have a lot of young professionals. I think everybody talks about the noise, and of course, yeah, I live in the neighborhood. I grew up, I'm fourth generation here in the neighborhood. I live on probably the busiest street in the North End, and I live 2 doors down from Bovis Bakery. It's open 24 hours a day. I understand the noise. We're hoping that we're going to get a young professional group. We're not trying to cater to the students that are here in the neighborhood or the young kids that are out. We all compare about the complaints. We all compare about the complaints about 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and they're out there. And these aren't the people that are, and we had the Boston Police, A1 that's come here and said, those aren't just kids. The people that are during our restaurants are the ones screaming and yelling at 3 in the morning. To follow up on the young lady's question, you're right, there was 2 abutters here that said there were 2 abutters. I think they made it very clear they weren't direct abutters, that they're in the neighborhood, and it was good. There was other folks here that were in support of the petition that live in the neighborhood, and there was young folks that were going to testify before the neighborhood council that this is the exact type of establishment that they would come to and feel safe, that they don't want to go down to the Faneuil Hall area and stay out late night, and don't want to go down to the North Station area, that will feel safe in our neighborhood. They come to an establishment like this. However, because of time constraints, we're unable to testify, and that's fine because we can't stay all night long. But but 12:30 is not unreasonable. We have many restaurants. If you look at the license board and the number of licenses here in the neighborhood, there are a number, probably more restaurants that have licenses that go beyond 11 o'clock. I took a brief look at it. I didn't add them up. Victor's looking at it right now. However, you look at Baco's open until 1. They have a 1 o'clock license. Goody Glover's 2 o'clock. Vito's is 1. I understand you got Antigua Forno and Terramia and Rabia's that are closed, and Neptune closed a little earlier, but at Hanover Street, there are a number of restaurants that have beyond 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock hours. Nick really wanted to do 1 o'clock after hearing some concerns, felt the need to come down a half an hour. He wants to make this a success. We've had a number of businesses on Salem Street, in particular, Vito's, where Vito's Tavern is, and where this place is, the restaurants didn't work. So I understand your position to establish a track record, then come back. Then you know what I'm going to hear. We come back a year later and say, well, now you want to come back because we allowed you to do 12, and now you want 12:30, you want 1 o'clock. We want to make this a success, and this is why we're asking for 12:30. I understand the views of the neighborhood, but this is why we're asking for 12:30, because we want to make it a success. We know we're going to do it. He's confident he's going to be able to do that.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If you get your hours and someone comes in on a weekend quite late, how late can you order sushi and still get served?
We'll probably serve probably half hour at the close. It's not pretty time.
So if somebody came in at midnight and asked for sushi, you still serve?
Midnight, I mean, it would probably close from 11:30 to midnight.
11:30.
Yeah. And he's probably half hour out. Just give him time to eat.
I just have a question about hours. The compromise you've suggested is 11:30, Sunday through Wednesday, or 12?
11:30.
11:30 is, it says here. So it'd be Sunday through Wednesday, it's shut at 11:30, or last drink at 11:30? Shut the doors.
Last close.
Okay, and then you shut the door, last drink, or shut the door?
12:30.
Shut the door?
Well, it's 12.
The hours essentially are last call.
Right. And then you have half an hour after everybody leaves
So
the
half an
premises.
So,
Anyone else? Sir?
Yes.
Name and address.
My name is George Adam, and I live across the street from the proposed restaurant, or restaurant that's been open. And if you literally measure the distance between 77th Street and the restaurant, I think it's probably less than 25 feet. And if you look at the building, our bedrooms in the building facing the restaurant, you can see the restaurant, and your proposal to extend the hours beyond the normal hours is only going to disturb the neighborhood and the resident of the neighborhood. Again, what's so unique about the North End is that it's a resident place, and you could come and live there, and by that hour and a half or half an hour more, it's only going to make it harder. I mean, as is, the crash or they come in at 5:30 in the morning, and this half an hour is only going to make it harder to live there. And
You live there now? You live there?
I don't live in.
Right, all right, I thought you said you lived there. You
Yeah.
said-
No, but I lived there for 12 years. I moved out, but
I just want to clarify, because I remember
Yeah.
sending you the notice and it went to
Yeah.
somewhere else. But,
Yeah.
all right.
So again, I own a property there, and I lived there since 1991, and I moved, and I'm planning to move back, and that's why I still own the property there, because I love the North End, and I want to come back and be a resident. And my concern is if we extend the hour for 12:30, tomorrow another one's going to ask for 1 o'clock, and then after all, there's no resident living in the North End because it becomes all restaurants. I'm not against having a restaurant, that's what makes it unique. And I just don't understand why this half an hour is going to make that big difference. Is why we want to have an outlier, and then tomorrow another outlier, and then everybody's open till 1:30, 2 o'clock. So I just feel that, I just don't understand why you're fighting for that half an hour. Why don't you accept and just be like everyone else, and we're happy, not objecting to the restaurant.
No, and I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure working with Carol and the abutters on it. And again, but you're saying like everybody else, not everybody has 11 on the weekdays and 12 on the weekends. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the number of restaurants, the number of licenses, and the closing hours. So you say everybody, not everybody is at 12. There are many establishments that are open
In our
late.
area, in where we are? Oh, absolutely.
In the North End.
No, I'm talking about the.
Goody, well, 3 right away. Goody Glover.
It's
Vito's,
gone.
Barco.
Goodies is gone.
Are they closed? All right. Well,
So, yeah, so.
I mean, there's still one on each side.
I get it. We want to be successful. We're not trying
And we
to.
want you to be
Right.
successful, and we just ask you to respect, the hours like everybody else.
I have a question. I want to clarify the liquor license, the mulled wine and cordials license that you have. Is that a license that requires you to serve food, or is it no requirement to serve food?
Well, the existing license does not have, if you're asking if the existing license has a proviso to serve food with alcohol, there is no proviso in the license.
Okay, so,
That was purchased.
so you're proposing to transfer that license and then extend that license. So in the later closing of 11:30, weekdays 12:30, there would be no requirement to have food under that license.
There would be no requirement at 5 o'clock.
In theory, and I'm not proposing that you want to run your business this way, but some subsequent, owner of this license, in theory, could not serve food at all, but just serve cordials for a substantial portion of the later operation of the establishment.
There are many licenses in the neighborhood that don't have that proviso. There are some that do.
Okay, somebody?
Hi, my name's Ashley. I live on 47 Fulton Street in the North End. Been a North End resident for about 6 years now. Love the North End. I hope, like a lot of you here, that I'm here for 30 more years. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. But I think this is exactly what the North End needs, especially as a young professional. I know I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of other young professionals in the neighborhood, and we all know, that's what the neighborhood is trending, and attracting those young professionals. I work late. And I don't eat dinner till sometimes 9, 10 o'clock on a weeknight, especially on the weekend. You work out, that's the difference. You work out, you work it up. But, when I stay up later, I'm working late hours. I want to go somewhere and have light fare. I don't always want pizza or, orange cheese, love it. But, I would like something a little bit lighter. I love sushi. Italian food and Japanese food are probably 2 of my favorite things. So when I heard about Sushi Rock opening, and a lot of my friends, we're really excited. We wanted a place to go that has a little bit different and eclectic in the North End. And don't get me wrong, I love the North End Italian restaurants, but it's nice to have something different. And I do not want to go to Faneuil Hall. I love just staying in my neighborhood. My friends and I joke that we don't go outside of the North End area, that radius, because call us lazy, but we just love it so much. We want to stay here. And I get it, the noise. But we live in a city, it's what to expect. We live in a city. No, it's not, because I live right on the corner across from Fulton. I get all those drunk people walking by at 2 a.m. I hear it, I put my fan on. But I put my fan on, I get used to it.
You see, you can sleep good.
I can't.
Wait another 10 years from now.
But, no, trust me, I'm a very light sleeper. Ask any of my friends. So I get woken up, the fire trucks that go by constantly. I get it, but you know what? It's something, I live in the city and it's what I'm used to, and I'm okay with that. And I get the noise complaints, but and Nick, I know him, he's a great guy. He won't do wrong by you. It's going to be an amazing place. It's really just what we need in the North End.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Finally, Dave?
Thank you. First of all, I want to express serious disappointment with the vote of the neighborhood council on Monday night. What justification did they have for increasing the noise and the commotion in that part of the neighborhood is beyond me. And I think the neighborhood council should be held to explaining their vote, their support for this. Second, I support very much the concerns raised by the residents in that area. It is a very tight residential area, and especially in the evenings, late evenings, it is completely a residential area. I want to add some detail, some clarification. First of all, our policy says that we support hours of operation to 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock closing hour during the week, 12 o'clock on the weekends. That means that the establishment can remain open, not serve, but remain open until 11:30 at night and 12:30 on the weekends. So our policy allows allows customers to be there during the hours that they're looking for. Their hours allow customers to leave at 12 o'clock during the week and 12:30 or 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock on the weekends. So that's considerably later than what we've heard are the current hours of operation in that residential neighborhood. Dan mentions other restaurants with later hours. I believe every neighborhood should have establishments that have the opportunity of later hour service. We have, as Dan has already pointed out, plenty of establishments with later hours where young people, young professionals can go for a bite to eat and a drink. There's quite a few of them in the neighborhood. And there's many more late night licenses, 2 a.m., 1 a.m. licenses that are not used to that, not used yet. But they could change their hours of operation tomorrow because their many licenses allow those later night hours. Dan mentions he tries to compare this to the 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Dan, that's a very inappropriate comparison. We should be comparing it to what these people are living with today, and that they're going to have to live with later night noise and commotion in that area. And I also want to point out that we should remember that this organization voted against the second floor, expansion of the restaurant into the second floor. We oppose that. Now they're going forward with it despite our opposition, and they're proposing a second floor bar. That was never proposed originally. I hope that we vote to oppose this application. I also hope that we not vote to approve it subject to earlier hours. We should flat out oppose this, let them come back with a different proposal later on.
Thank you. We got to move on, getting behind schedule. So, we have a motion to vote.
If I may, just to clarify, one second, Mr. President, thank you. Just to clarify, and you're right, there was a proposal, I mentioned, this was not the proposal of this operator right here. The proposal is to open one story. He's not the landowner of the property, he leases the property. So in terms of the design, I didn't represent the landowner. I don't know what the design was when it came before the Resident Association and the Neighborhood Council, but it was not Nick coming forward with that proposal. So the addition was not this individual. We just fortunate at least.
May I just add some information to follow up on Bill's mention about zoning? This restaurant would be in a neighborhood shopping sub-district.
Okay. We are going to take two votes, actually. The first vote is just going to be to transfer the license from Pulcinella to Sushi Rock, and we'll vote on the hours next. So right now, circle support on the white ballot if you support the transfer of the license, and circle opposed if you vote. We have the vote on the transfer of the license. 20 support and 15 opposed. 20 support transferring the license and 15 opposed. So that passed. Okay, now we're going to vote on the new hours with yellow.
Oh, Kathy.
And the new hours requested are Sunday through Wednesday, 11:30, and Thursday through Saturday at 12:30. So if you favor those hours, please circle support. If you're against, please circle abstain. And it is 10 support and 26 opposed.
Mr. President, members of the association, as always, it's been a pleasure, and thank you for having me here and the opportunity to present this. Thank you.